Welcome to Parev-TV. Today we are joined by a very good friend. His name is Dickran Torossian. He resides in Israel, Jerusalem to be more exact. He's a professional licensed guide, a very good friend, and very knowledgeable of life in Israel, especially as it relates to Armenian life in Israel. Dickran, thank you for joining us. It's really a very unique opportunity we have to learn more in-depth from a professional licensed guide, the life of Armenians in Israel. There are three major cities, and I would like you, if possible, to very quickly give us an idea of the three cities, which are Jaffa, Haifa, and then a little bit more in-depth, Jerusalem. What is there in terms of Armenian presence in these three areas?
Well, Jerusalem is the largest center of the Armenian community. It's our spiritual capital since it is linked to our Lord's life. And it has been a refuge to the survivors of the genocide from the 1915. Prior to that, the population was the old Kaakatsi. Without their help, the survivors of the genocide, together with the Armenian Patriarchate, were not able to settle and succeed in Jerusalem, the combination. Then Jaffa and Haifa, during the Mandate period, Jaffa was the business center. And a lot of people from the Middle East, refugees who survived the genocide, settled in Jaffa because of the business center. Totally, the population during the Mandate period, rough figure was between 10 to 15,000. Haifa had the smallest population from the three. Yes, we did have a small population in Nazareth and also in Ramle, and that eventually dwindled. Very few families left in the Nazareth region and Haifa. Together, the population of Jerusalem, Jaffa, and Haifa is about roughly 2,000. 1,500 are in Jerusalem, and the rough figure between, I would say, 300 in Jaffa, 200 in Haifa. We have another population which migrated after the war and the earthquake in Armenia. Mm-hmm. The ex-Soviet Union, after the fall of the Soviet Union and the influx of immigrants coming into the country, a lot of the refugees from Azerbaijan who had settled in Armenia, had no work, no houses, decided to emigrate. And in Yerevan, a lot of offices were opened for immigration to Israel, as if being Jewish, or if they had any Jewish roots or intermarriage, they managed to come. But majority, they found a very corrupt rabbi. For $100, they managed to get a letter saying that they were Jewish and they migrated to Israel. Unfortunately, this population, we're going to lose them because of their intermarriage. The kids will be going to the Jewish schools, to the army, and eventually marrying Jews. And I can see it already. The younger generation don't even speak Armenian. Mm-hmm. But it is understandable that they want to survive. And the largest population is in Petah Tikva. They have 2 clubs. The rough figure, without any proper statistics, we thought that they may have reached between 15 to 17,000. But we don't know exact figures. They are also afraid if somebody wants to do a kind of a survey, they will never participate because they're afraid that if the government finds out, they will be expelled from the country. Some of them went back. Some of them continue to Canada, Australia, or America, if they have relatives and who sponsored them.
Dickran, very recently, in fact, on maybe less than a year ago, we heard that there was an Armenian genocide memorial that was set up in Petah Tikva. who was behind this, and how did the community in Israel respond to that memorial?
Well, the community in Petah Tikva had sponsored it. They had negotiated with the mayor of Petah Tikva, and they were kind enough. They allotted a small place in a park, and it's not a Hajj car. In order not to offend the Jewish population, no cross appears on the monument if you look at the photos. Mm-hmm. And it's a memorial to the Armenian genocide, which they placed it in Petah Tikva. But nothing on the local news. It didn't appear at all.
We keep hearing that there are warmer relationships between Armenia and Israel. And in fact, we heard they may have taken some steps to open an Armenian embassy. Where will that embassy be located, and what is the situation today?
Well, last year, the Armenian government decided to finally open an embassy. They had already diplomatic relationship, but not residing ambassador in Tel Aviv. And the Armenian government decided to open it in Tel Aviv. I think the main reason why they haven't yet opened it is because of the epidemic coronavirus, which delayed the process. They were supposed to have opened it this year in January, February. And maybe in the near future, they will be opening it in Tel Aviv soon. Likewise, we're expecting that the Israelis will open an embassy and that the Armenians who need visas don't need to go to Tbilisi, to Georgia to get their visas.
But when it comes to the relationship between Israel and Armenia, two issues are outstanding. One is the recognition of the Armenian genocide by the Israeli government. And the second one is the relationship Israel has with the Azerbaijani government in terms of selling arms and the like. What is your take of the situation?
The relationship of the Israeli government with the Azerbaijan is selling arms and Israel buying oil. Most of, at least, I would say 60% of Israel's oil comes from Azerbaijan, and it goes via Turkey. The pipeline goes to Georgia, from Georgia, Turkey, to the Mediterranean. And that's why Israel doesn't want to offend also the Turks. Their relationship with their Azeri arms deals, oil industry. Money talks, money walks, money does everything. And plus, they have a Jewish population that the Israelis are afraid that it will deteriorate. Although with the present leadership of Erdogan in Turkey has deteriorated. And there were so many advisors to the government. This is the high time that they should recognize the Armenian genocide. But on the other hand, the Azeris and Turks are cousins, and they will block the pipeline, or they would stop buying arms from Israel, the Azeris.
Dickran, we are all going through a very difficult time throughout the world. People's lives have changed with the pandemic. I'm sure in Israel, that depends so much on tourism, especially in your profession as a licensed guide. A lot has changed. Many things have come to a stop. How are you coping with the business aspect? And what can you tell us about the health problems that the whole community is facing?
Well, my last group was in March, and we were all had to cancel the next groups that were supposed to arrive. Hotels closed down. Airlines are not flying in. Well, some airlines are still flying in, but this is only emergency flights, returning Israelis. Any foreigner coming into the country, tourist, has to go on a quarantine of 2 weeks. And this year is a total loss in tourism. The government is trying to support hotels, travel agents, and bus companies and guides by providing unemployment. And we're hoping that this unemployment will not be for 3 or 6 months, but it will be slightly longer. They would provide us some special courses, refreshing courses, and this will keep us busy for the year. And hoping that the groups which did not arrive this year, that canceled, they would book their tours next year. I am already receiving requests for next year or 2022, not only 21, but also to 22. And hopefully it will pick up. Thinking on the positive side. Think positive will turn positive. To be optimistic.
You know, it's nice to be optimistic, but as I said, especially tourism was very hard hit. You know, whenever we speak about Israel or the Holy Land, especially when it comes within Armenian circles, we know of the Armenian Quarter, we know of the Armenian presence there for centuries, and we also know many times pilgrims go there, especially around Christmas and Easter. Why are these two dates important, and what other dates could people choose or do choose to come to Israel?
Well, most of the Armenian pilgrims who come for Christmas or for Easter, they would like to participate also in the different ceremonies, especially during the Easter, the Holy Fire ceremony, and the whole week of the Holy Week of Easter, with the Palm Sunday starting and the washing of the feet ceremonies and the burial and the resurrection celebrated by the Holy Fire. Christmas, you are aware that in the Holy Land we celebrate it on January 18. The Armenian calendar is in the Holy Land is according to the Julian calendar, and the 6th of January falls on the 18th of January. But personally, I think, and also researchers have come to a conclusion why eventually Armenians in the Holy Land have decided January 18 on the Epiphany Day, because it would be very, very difficult, the status quo laws in Bethlehem, to have midnight mass with the Greeks, the Assyrians, the Copts, the Ethiopians, and the Armenians on the same day. By having it on a separate day, that solves the clashes. You can see the clashes that we have in Easter, when all the Orthodox churches are celebrating it today, together.
You've been a guide for many years, and do you notice an uptick in Armenian groups coming to Israel during the holidays?
Oh yes, I realized it the past, I would say, 7 to 8 years, it is increasing, especially from Armenia. In the beginning stages, they did not give them visas because they were running away and staying in the country. But eventually, if they are requested coming with their hire or a priest leading the group, it's his parish, and he puts guarantees. And if there are guarantees that they're going to return, they're given the visa. And I realized that most of the groups presently, last year, that arrived on the pilgrimage did return. Yes, there could be exception of 1 or 2 who stayed behind for employment purposes or family reunion.
Besides Armenia, where do they come from?
We have from the United States, from different parts, from East Coast, West Coast, also from Canada, and different European countries. We had groups from the community in Sweden, Holland, France, and the UK.
Could you give us a feeling of what does it mean for pilgrims to come to the Holy Land, Armenian pilgrims? What does it mean to the local community?
The local community, some of them are excited in a way that the churches, the compound comes back to life. Since the community has become small, during the holidays you see people coming and joining the services. When the influx of pilgrims coming in, I'm sure the patriarchate, the church is happy to receive them, and also the local community. Some of them have their own businesses, like souvenir stores. They're happy to sell their products, ceramics and different souvenirs.
You know, many Armenians know about the Holy Land. They are very, very excited about going one day to the Holy Land. And one question sticks out: security. How safe is it?
Well, security-wise, don't listen to the media. Media always over-exaggerates. Fake news always appears, and it's quite safe. I've been leading groups for the past 35 years. I've never had any problems. And any group that comes to the country, they're surprised that it is very quiet and safe and peaceful compared to what the media shows it. And unfortunately, the media over-exaggerates by repeating and repeating. And this scares people. I don't blame the people. The media, yes, they have the right to freedom of speech. They could broadcast it morning, noon, and evening, but not every 15 minutes. Every 15 minutes, you affect the minds of the people. That's why they are afraid to come.
You know that I have been leading groups to Israel over the past 3-4 years, and many people have very, very memorable memories of you and your guiding us and being with us. What would you like to tell them and other people who may want to come one day to Israel?
Well, one thing I can say that you are always welcome back. The Holy Land is your second home. It's the home of Christ our Lord. And we want you to come and fill up the churches. We don't want the churches to be dead stones, museums. We want to be able to fill them up for worship and for prayers, rather than as museums, that they will be living stones rather than dead stones.
Anything in closing, Dickran Torossian, as we wrap up this very, very informative interview?
Regards to all the pilgrims that have come with you, and hopefully by next year things will change, and inshallah, with God's help, we will meet again and follow the footsteps of Christ.
Գիտենք վերջին 30 տարվա ընթացքին ունեցանք ազատ անկախ Հայաստանը, գիտենք որ թուն մանավանդ եւ այլ բարեկամներ Երուսաղեմի շրջանեն գայցելեք Հայաստան, ինչ երանք բերավ այդ հայրենիքի անկախությունը, ինչպես աստեց քաղաքին։
Շատ ուրախացանք, որ թրիչքները սկսան դեպի Հայաստան, առաջ սկսան շաբաթ մեկ անգամ, վերջին գամած սիզոնին ադենի 2 կամ 3, եւ ամեն տարի երթալով քաղուտը թե մասմը ընտանիքներ ունեին, թե մասմը հարսեր բերին Հայաստանեն, ամուսնություններ եղավ, եւ ուրախ ենք, որ դարի փոխումներ գտեսնենք, որ Հայաստանի դեպի լավի, թե կորձի գոմեն, թե տուրիզմի գոմեն, թե շինարարության գոմեն։
Գիտես, ինչ է գլխավոր մտահոգությունը այդ եղի քաղաքին։
Հիմա մտահոգությունը կորոնայի պատմությունն է, որ ամենալ շատերը անկորձ եղան, եւ դու լավ գիտես, որ մեծամասը քաղաքին Երուսաղեմի մեջ туриզմով կսպահվի։ Այո, կան մի քանի անձեր, որ կամ բժիշկ են, կամ նրս են, իրենց գործերին ապահովված է, բայց շատերը, որ գտեսնեմ գոլ, անորոշ են, չեն գիտել, որ ինչ լավ, եւ վստահ են, որ ասիկա պիտի աստեն օր սերունդին վրա, եւ պիտի ուզեն կախտել թեպի Կանադա, Ավստրալիա կամ Ամերիկա, եթե ասկականներ ունին եւ եթե սպոնսորումը կան։ Ճշմարտաբար դարի կաուտ գբզդիգնագոր։
Շատ շնորհակալ ենք, փակման խոսքը գուզես ունել։
Գուսամ, որ դուքալ ապահովանցիկ աս օրերս ամեն ինչ համբերության է եւ միշտ բարին մտածեցեք, Աստված բարին գնե եւ գուսանք դեսնվել կալդարի ձունունտին։
Դիկրան շատ շնորհակալ ենք։ Հաջողություն, բարի օրեր ցեզի նաեւ։